Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, honoured guests. Mud! It's a boy thing. I want to tell you about the joys of trail riding. Firstly, what is trail riding? It's riding motorcycles on unsurfaced rights of way, mostly byways. A byway is typically an old drove road or track, and the surface can vary from tarmac in a few cases through huge rocky boulders to knee-deep, glorious, gloopy mud. Or perhaps a deep cutting that's been hollowed out over hundreds of years by farmers travelling with their animals, or pilgrims with their families and wagons. Wiltshire, where I live, has more byways than any other county in England or Wales, largely because of Salisbury Plain, which offers miles of opportunities when the red flags are down. There are approximately 2,300 miles of byways in the UK, out of a total of 120,000 miles of rights of way. So what is it about trail riding that appeals? It's the chance to get away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life and explore the far reaches of our countryside much more effectively than walking. I don't know how far you can walk in a day, perhaps 10 miles? On my bike, affectionately known as the Mighty Cerro, I can manage over 100 miles easily. A Yamaha Cerro might only have a 225cc single-cylinder engine, but it will climb mountains. And it has. I can reach inaccessible places that would take all day to get to on foot. I've ridden a 2-day coast-to-coast ride from Scarborough to Morecambe. I've explored mid-Wales several times, and closer to home, the Isle of Purbeck. There's nothing better for me than fighting my way up a steep, rock-strewn track to reach the summit and enjoy the reward of a picnic with friends and a spectacular panoramic view. Why do we like the difficult tracks? For me, it's the challenge. Visualise, if you can, a steep slate bedrock track in Wales with unforgiving stone walls and steps a foot deep, covered in water and mud. I'll never forget riding down that track, thinking, don't touch the brakes. Don't touch the brakes! And then wondering how long it would be before I would fall off. And then my amazement at reaching the bottom of the lane, upright. My personal favourite is that lovely mud. The skill, with a touch of luck, of sliding sideways on a motorbike and managing to keep control, knowing that if I do fall off, at least it's going to be a relatively soft landing. Some people just don't get this, but they're the people that don't get mountain climbing or sailing round the world single-handed. We have the technology to put a stair lift up Everest, but that would be boring, wouldn't it? We do occasionally get to ride on bridleways, normally reserved for horses, when we help mark out the course for endurance rides and then demark it afterwards, often up to 100 kilometres. The alternative for the organisers would mean that a horse rider would have to go round doing this once before and once after the event. And we also help at horse trials, such as the international event at Longleat, by collecting the scorecards from the fence judges and swiftly returning them to the organisers for scoring. I'm the chairman of the Wiltshire branch of the TRF, the Trail Riders Fellowship. We are about 50 riders locally who campaign to keep lanes open. Our most senior rider is 81-year-old Mike, who still manages to get out regularly on his bike. We also have more female riders than you might imagine. The lanes are not busy. In 100 miles of riding, one might see a single solitary walker, maybe. The countryside is big enough to share. However, not everybody is as enthusiastic about trail riding as I am. Various organisations, particularly the Ramblers, aided and abetted by the government, are doing their best to prevent us using the 2% of rights of way that we still have access to. So far, we've managed to retain the right to explore the countryside on our bikes. Long may this last.
Thank you, Chris.